Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gail Carson, bringing you Living Regret-Free, the show that gives you skills and techniques to achieve a regret-free life. Don't live a life of stress and negativity when you could be experiencing a life of joy, happiness, and reward. Our guests all have valuable tips to make your life a better one. My guest today is Lauren Keith, and she's a certified dream builder coach, as well as a highly successful management consultant and coach, corporate trainer, and public speaker. And she's had over 20 years of experience helping people achieve greater success, satisfaction, and joy in the multiple areas of their lives. She specializes in helping people realize the gifts that they have to offer and identifying how to bring those gifts to their jobs, careers, families, communities, and themselves. She feels privileged and grateful to be able to help individuals come into their own greatness and purpose and be able to have that with others as well. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you, Gail. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, let's find out about how you got started and doing what you're doing and how you became inspired to become a coach.
Absolutely. Interestingly enough, how I got started is I was actually living a pretty good life. And I was busy and I had clients, but what it turned out is that sometimes the biggest obstacle to living a really great life is that you're living a good life. And so I was a little complacent and I was sort of coasting along. And so life sits through a curveball when that happens. And my oldest brother had a stroke back in 2007. And I decided that I would bring him out to live with me, which turned out to be one of the nicest and probably not smartest decisions I ever made because it really turned my world upside down. I had to buy a new house, and I had to change a lot of things about my work, and then I bought a house right when the market crashed. So I now had a lot more expenses and not as much income, and I had to really think about what did I want to be? What did I think my purpose on this planet really was to do, and really evaluate, redefine myself. So I started doing a lot of work. I had always studied personal development, but as I studied more and more of it, I found myself starting to try and teach it to other people and sort of doing informal coaching and really enjoying that. And people seemed to really enjoy what I had to offer to them. And I said, you know what, I need to turn this into my career. This is my purpose. This is my calling. So I'm going to start making this what I do for a living. And so really the crash and burn of the good life is what led me into having more of a great life.
Well, now, we talk to a lot of coaches on the show, and, they all are doing a great job. But what makes you different from many of the other coaches that are out there?
I think what makes any of us different is the uniqueness as a person we bring. I mean, I do have a lot of education. I did get a PhD in psychology. I did get a certification from a reputable coaching institute. But it's really about the connection that I make with people. And I may not be the best coach for everyone, but for a lot of people, I can really resonate with them and really help them understand what's holding them back and help them see things better. So just me being who I am really helps connect with people, and that belief that I really can be of service and I really can make a difference for people if they're willing to put in their end of the work.
So what would you say the biggest impact is that you hope to make? I mean, what do you have some great success stories that you can talk about, or are there things
Yeah. Absolutely. One of the biggest success stories I have, I think, is a client that I had early on who was really very skeptical. She had just started her own business, and when she started listening to me, we'd been friends for a while, she started listening to me talk about what I did. She's like, oh, that's a bunch of pop psychology. I've heard all that before. This is just a bunch of poofy stuff. But the more I kept talking about it, the more she started to realize that some of it was sinking in. And so she said, you know what, I'm going to do your program. I'm going to hire you as my coach. And so she kept an open mind, and we did the work. And she really was able to go past sort of the dreaming stage of what she wanted for her career and what she even wanted for herself as an individual and get into the actual work that she needed to do and what was really holding her back. And what she liked about the program is it gave her real tools. It didn't give her this airy-fairy, well, you just have to think positive, or you just have to have affirmations on your wall and look at them and read them every day. It gave her more specific, actionable tools so that she could really let go of the baggage she was dragging around with her, move forward in a much more positive way. So what she ended up doing was really taking action towards her dream, which was to open another arm of her business. That actually is in process right now. The construction is in the way, and she's already building the next part of her business. Before that's even open, she's already planning the next stage, and her vision and her goals and her ability to think bigger has gotten so much better. But on a personal level, too, she has really made such great progress, and she's reaching out more. She's gotten involved with other groups, really expanded her social network, and really balanced out her life. So it's a much healthier life for her as well. And she was really skeptical. I was really not sure she would do the work. And she did, and she just loved it. She wrote me a huge thank you after it and talked about how well it worked for her. And it was just really fun to see somebody that was that skeptical to make such great progress.
So how does someone get started in a bigger life? I mean, you talked about it for yourself, a better life and a bigger life. So how do you get started?
Really, it starts with asking different questions, starting to ask things like, what would I do if I knew I could not fail? Or what would I do, even something as simple as if I won the lottery, what would I do? That can start to get you to tap into once you get past the initial mania of all the crazy, silly things you might do. But what would you really want to do with your life? And the key to it is tapping into what do I want and why do I want it? But don't let the how of it derail you. Because if you start to think about, well, I can't do that because I don't have the education, or I don't have the money, or I don't have the whatever, then you stop yourself in your tracks. So you really have to focus on.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you have to, because it's true. When you start thinking, well, if I had all of this, this is what I would do. Or if there were nothing that could stop me from failing, this is what I would try. And then, of course, those little tiny fears keep creeping up and you say, well, but it's not true. So what are some of the habits that you can form, or what are some of the simple habits that are getting in our own way?
Some of the really simple ones that most of us do every day of our lives is comparison. We look at somebody else and we say, oh, I don't have what they have, or they got better than I did. They got something more than I did. And we need to stop looking at that in such a negative way and look at it instead of, you know what, they got it. Thank goodness. That means it can be done. That means I can do it too. So looking at it more of a positive way. So comparison is one big one. Complaining is a big one. We all have
those complainers, those whiners. What do you do about those?
Yeah, and we tend to tell the story over and over, and if you think about it, when you watch a scary movie, even though you move...
Did we lose her?
Hello?
Anyway, I think we lost you for a while. We'll have to splice all that in. Why don't you start from when you see a scary movie?
Okay. So when you see a scary movie, even though you know what's coming, you still get a little scared. It still puts you back in that space, that emotion, that feeling. So complaining does the same thing. If you keep complaining about something over and over again and keep telling that story, you get back into that same negative space. So the best way to combat complaining... I'm sorry, go ahead, Gail.
No, I was just going to say, the problem is many of the complainers complain to people who can't do anything about it. It wouldn't be so bad if they complained to people who could give them a solution or help them with the problem, but many times they're complaining just to hear themselves talk.
It's true. And even if it is somebody that has a solution, they don't always want to hear it. They're invested in the complaining. So we want to make sure we're moving to that solution. And a great way to do that is gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude, being grateful and waking up with a positive attitude. I always say I wake up with a smile on my face and positive attitude. And, of course, I know you're an animal lover and an animal rescuer. And I have my three little faces looking at me saying, okay, Mommy, what you going to do for me today? And,
exactly.
that all plays a part. So what are the antidotes that you prescribe for the bad habits that people have?
Well, gratitude is definitely a big one that we just mentioned. So really focusing on all of the things you do have. And when you really sit down and think about it, we have an awful lot. Even the cell phones that we talk on, the computers, the transportation. Somebody will complain about how horrible their car is. Well, they have a car, and they have the ability to put gas in it. So really focusing instead of what you don't have on what you do have. Being willing to celebrate. Again, when you see somebody else doing something that you want for yourself, celebrate that they did it, because that means you can do it too. And celebrate your own successes, because we focus so much still on where we aren't yet, and we don't celebrate what we have achieved already. So
I
give
think that's
yourself
one of the
credit.
things I had to learn, Lauren, was
Mm-hmm.
not to have envy. Not to have
Right.
envy, because there were so many people around me who had done so many things. And, I travel in a crowd of accomplishing people. So when I see somebody else, it used to be, oh, wow, well, why can't I do that? And I was envious. Now I'm saying, good for them. They've paved the
Mm-hmm.
road, and now that's something that I can do too. Or, wow, they've done it, so maybe I can go to them for advice. Or, wow, they've done it. What a wonderful contribution they've made. And that was a big turnaround for me. That was very
Mm-hmm.
helpful for me, but it took a lot of talking to myself.
It
I will
does.
say that.
And I think talking to ourselves is a wonderful habit. And now that we have Bluetooth, people will just think you're on the phone, so you can get away with it. Nobody will think you're crazy.
That's
So I
true.
love
That's
talking to
true.
ourselves. I think
So,
it's great to talk to ourselves talk through things and really pay attention to what is it we're saying and what is it we are telling ourselves, because we're talking to ourselves all the time, whether it's out loud or not.
So when you say, so what would you say? Because I know you've got this love of animals, and then
Yes.
you've got this love of coaching. So what do you
Mhm.
love most about what you do?
I love helping somebody see that they can have more, that they can have a life that would make them really happy, and see that light come on in them. Either see it or hear it, because sometimes it's by phone. But you can hear it even over the phone when they start talking about what they would love and what that would do for them and what that would mean to them, and then show them that they actually can have it. It takes work. They got to put in the action and have that inspiration, but they can have it. And to see people light up like that is so immensely rewarding, and to be able to be of service to them in that way, it's just such a huge paycheck for me. I just love it.
So what has been the biggest difficulty in working with people that you have had to have them overcome?
Wow. The biggest challenge probably is, again, making sure that they understand that you have to take action. You can't just put up a real pretty vision board on the wall and think that you're done, or hang some affirmations on your mirror and think that you're done. You have to take action. And let's face it, people don't always want to take action. They want a quick fix. They want to win the lottery. They want some unknown relative to pass away and leave them a huge check. And that doesn't happen very often. So understanding they have to take the action, and that they are making choices about that all day long. Life is not happening to us. Life is happening through us. So we're making choices all day long. And if you don't like how your day is going, you don't like how you feel, you can change it. Like you change the dial on the TV set or change the channel. You can change it. But we have to own that. We have to take responsibility for that. And not everybody wants to do that. A lot of people want me to wave my magic wand, which I wish I had, and make it all better. And that's just not how it works.
Well, that's true. There's a lot of business that has developed around the done for you segment, where people who
Mm-hmm.
are experts at, let's say, design or copy or social media or strategy, those kinds of things, where they want people to do it for them. They hire them and say, I will pay you to do this for me.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, when it's losing weight or developing a better you or any of those kinds of things, those are things you have to work at. And they
Right.
say that that's the thing that was wrong with the movie The Secret, that it gave you all this motivation, but it really didn't tell you how to do it. It didn't give you any
Mm-hmm.
action steps. And
Right.
so we call those implementers. And I think that's what is missing in a lot of people's lives, is they don't implement. They read about it, they see other people doing it, but they don't implement it themselves. And that can make a really, really big difference. So if you were
Absolutely.
to share your biggest tip What would you want them to walk away with?
It actually